from Ghana to Galway.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
Everybody asks the question. Usually, I just say, I give you 2 seconds to guess, and then they go, a man, and they're usually right. Because I met my husband, who's Irish. I met him in New York. He was living and working in New York, and we met in, believe it or not, an Irish bar on Thanksgiving Day, 20-something years ago. And we have 4 boys. We had 2 in New York, and then we moved to Galway, and then we had 2 more here. Right. So I came to Galway, you can say, for love.
For love.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great reason to come to Galway.
Yeah, plus Galway is beautiful. So,
well, let me see. From living in New York, what exactly were you doing in New York?
I moved from Ghana to New York. I went to uni there. I actually studied nursing. I couldn't go through with it because I realized very quickly that I can't do, blood. I'm too sensitive.
Yeah.
So then I did a bit of, I studied English, and then I went to FIT and I studied fashion, a bit of fashion, not like, designing or anything. It was more merchandising, display and merchandising. And I quickly realized that I actually, I'm too fidgety. I can't stay in one place. So I decided to be an executive assistant in healthcare. I like the hustle and bustle, of that. There was always something happening. And then I also did a side thing where I would do private chefing, and I also do personal styling, and I also worked in showrooms. So I really couldn't sit still. I would do a bit of everything.
Yeah. It seems like your passion and your love for fashion kind of was like in your DNA.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Literally in my DNA. Yes. So my grandmother was into fabrics, I should say. She was one of the very first few women who decided to import fabric. I think during her time, a lot of the textiles were being printed in Ghana, but the really, really high quality one was coming from Netherlands. So she was one of the few women who had a warehouse, and the market women, as I call them, will come and buy from her and bring it to buy wholesale and bring it to the market and sell retail. And fast forward to my mom, who actually used to import and export not just African fabrics but also high-end lace, literally fabrics, and I've been in fabrics and textiles have been in my family for a very long time. It's
just great to see how it's kind of like followed through the bloodline.
Yeah.
And it evolved so much from Ghana to Galway.
Yes. Yeah. But it wasn't on purpose. Like, I didn't actually, I've always loved the fabrics. I mean, I've never seen an African print that I don't like. That's very, very rare. But I started collecting them. I didn't think that I'd be working with them because I didn't know how to sew. I'm self-taught. I didn't really test that out till I was pregnant with Kelly and my first child, and in New York, pulled out a stash and literally put it on my kitchen table, and I cut a wrap skirt, and that's really where it started from. I never really expected to be working with fabrics. I just loved them, and I started collecting them from a young age. And also, in our culture, as a woman, you're expected to have lots in your wardrobe. So I was getting lots from my dad, my grandmother, from the eldest in my family as well. So, yeah.
Now, where does the Japanese element come into this?
So a lot of people, actually, I'm glad you asked that. A lot of people ask me that question, and a lot of people don't know this, but I'm happy to say that, there is a mutual adoration between Japanese and African cultures. There was actually a few years back, there was a huge exhibition there was a Japanese designer who used only African prints to make traditional Japanese kimonos with the obi and everything, and it was just beautiful. And now, as when I started this, I had to do my research just to make sure that I wasn't stepping on any toe, that I wasn't being disrespectful or anything. But there are so many shops in Japan that only use African fabrics to make kimonos, to make skirts, to make homeware, to make, so I was very happy to see that. I suppose the agbada is a form of a Japanese kimono. The only thing is it's not slit in the front.
That's correct.
Because it's very roomy, it's very big, it's long, it has the sleeves and everything.
Maybe for those that don't know an agbada, can you explain that?
Agbada is literally it's mostly worn by men and the bubu by women. So agbada is really large piece of fabric that's sewn together as one piece, and it's just great. It only has a neck and sleeves, and I suppose the sides are sewn together, as opposed to kimono, where it has the sleeves, it has a collar, but it's open in the front. So,
and agbada, they're usually wearing them for like very formal events. I've seen them like weddings and yes, right. But kimonos could be worn. Would they also be worn for formal events?
And I suppose with the women now, people are now, like I'm seeing on happily seen on Pinterest and everywhere, women actually make 3-piece. So they make the kimono, they make the pants, and then they make, I suppose, a top, just a simple top, and it's all 3-piece kimono set.
Wow.
So so it's coming a long way, and I suppose people are experimenting with it.
I would have never thought to see the fusion between the Japanese and African culture.
I don't know. I suppose I've also been, living in New York, growing up in New York, I've always loved Japanese culture. I don't know what it is. I think I stumbled upon it by accident. But when I lived in Soho, a lot of my friends were Japanese. There was a Japanese barber on Prince Street that I used to go and hang out there a lot. But I've always loved just the simple designs, the mannerisms, the culture where everything is minimalistic, but there is an element of something there, And I suppose for me, with my fabrics, I thought I'll design very, very simple and let the fabrics do the talking.
That's true. Well, I'd say like now, obviously, Galway isn't the fashion capital.
Trying.
It's getting there, huh? How would you say you stay inspired?
Well, that's really tough one, Lauren. I won't lie. I've given up in my head so many times, but it's funny. Every time I say, this is it, I'm done, something small kind of comes in and says, no, not yet. It's been tough. I won't lie. When I first started, I started with just a wrap skirt and the tote bags and the scarves. And it was great to see people just embracing it. It was something new, something very different. And people hadn't seen it. People were interested in the pattern. I tried to make it seasonless. And then from there, I evolved to dresses. I evolved to the kimonos. And now I'm introducing, different types of textiles and stuff to it. I suppose what keeps me going is stubbornness, maybe?
Passion.
Yeah.
That's true.
Passion, stubbornness and passion, and also really the need to try to put African prints and textiles on a map here in Ireland, because, it's all over the world, I suppose, and I feel like it deserves its place here.
What are some of like the biggest obstacles you've probably, obviously you're a self-taught designer, but I'm sure there's been a lot of challenges along this road.
Yeah.
Probably hasn't been smooth.
Yeah, we don't have enough hours in the day for to list all the challenges. But I think just as a woman, it's tough, and I find personally that people don't quite get what I do, people don't understand whether it's the prints or what, I don't know. It's also getting funding. I fund myself. I've always funded myself. Because you just can't get the funding because of X, Y, and Z. And just I suppose trying to build on this business, because I've been doing it for a while. But what keeps me inspired is the surroundings, like the sea.
Yeah.
Like they say there's 51 shades of green in Ireland. I don't know, or 41 shades. I don't know. It's the colors. It's the mixture of the sea versus the greens. When I go for walks on the bog road, all these colors, like the gorse when it's in bloom, it's gorgeous. The lavenders, the brown grass, which actually was the inspiration behind my tweed and African print fusion.
Well, it seems like you've definitely have been able to use some of these challenges, I can think what people would probably assume to be challenges, as like a form of, I'd say, inspiration.
Yeah, I think, that Ireland will hopefully, it seems like it's getting there, and I would love to lay the map, so to say, for people, or for the next generation,
right?
And stuff like that. I also, I've never been a quitter. Sometimes I wish that I could just quit and do something else, but I feel there is something in it. There is something there,
right?
And that's why I keep going to it. Now I have to say that there are people who love what I do.
Yeah.
And, are generally being supportive. Like every year they come in and they buy the new piece and they add on, when I see my pieces on the streets of people of influence. And I also want my children to, I'm trying to teach them about resilience. Build something of your own, following your passion, following your dreams, despite all the hardships and all that. So I don't know. It's a very, I have a lovely relationship with with it all. But at the end of the day, it's probably I do it for myself. I also do it for my children, and I do it for the next generation.
Talking on that piece of resilience, what advice would you give to someone who's interested in starting something new, or maybe breaking away from the norm of routine of something they've done, and they'd like to step out, and just kind of, back themselves?
I would say there'll be a lot of noise. People telling you, oh, don't do this, do that. This is too this is too that. Put your blinkers on.
Okay.
And focus. Focus on what you want. There are some advice that's great, but you don't have to take everybody else's advice. You can take some, you can leave some. Whatever you take, try and incorporate it with yours, if it works with yours. And also, if you're passionate about it, definitely go for it.
That's I'd say some sound advice for sure. Blocking out the noise is a big one. Actually, you've had experience with fashion across 3 different continents. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say, what do you think is the biggest difference between fashion in Ghana, fashion in New York, fashion in Ireland?
So in Ghana, we are very expressive. Also, I think because of the cultural expectations, so to speak, and because of what our grandmothers and our mothers before us used to wear. It's made us very bold and very, very expressive, and we're very colorful. Very, very colorful, and we're so there's a New York daring and shocking, making a statement, I suppose. And I think that's probably one of my struggles is just trying to get women here to not be afraid of wearing colors, expressing themselves. So New York is daring and is bold. Ireland is Galway. I'm still, even though I do know my market, I do know who my clientele are. I think Ireland, the difference in is people confidence.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think. And I see more and more of it, like people are being very confident, wearing color, and also wanting to wear something different. People want to be different. So I suppose there is a thread kind of in between us, just expressed differently.
What does your creative process look like when you're starting on a new project, or maybe a new season? You say something's coming out.
So first, I try to be seasonless. I try to have my pieces being worn year round, because it's sustainable, financially viable, and and I like for people to be able to wear my pieces all year round. So the process, that's a very tough one, because I go I'll come up with say one thing, but you don't realize how many months or even years. I've been thinking of that process because I'm self-taught and I don't have like the what do you call it? I go through many phases. Like I'll see a garment or I'll design a garment in my head, then I have to chop it up, and I take away, and as I take away, I add, and I keep asking myself, okay, how would this look like? I used to design what I think I would like and what people will like, but I quickly realized that just because I like it doesn't mean other people will like it. So it starts, from chopping things up, and then the fabric plays a very, very big part. Like I've always said that fabrics talk to me, and I talk to them. Like I'll see a fabric, and it's like, pick me. I know what we're gonna do. It starts with chopping and putting pieces together, and then picking the fabric, and then bringing the fabric to my studio, laying it for a few days where we have our conversations, and then washing, drying, and then cutting.
It's definitely a sort of cycle. Can see that, how it goes through.
It's a dance.
A dance. Really. There we go.
It's a dance of creativity, and then it's also respect for the fabrics, really. Because I feel so privileged to be able to work with the fabrics that I'm able to, because, from where I am, it's not very easy to get it here.
Okay.
Either I travel to Ghana and bring it here,
right,
or I go to the UK now, which is closest and a bit more easier for me. But also, trying to show respect to the fabrics, and also respect to the people who make them, respect to what it represents, respect to what is going to be. And there's a lot of respect in what I do.
You describe your work as wearable art for the confident woman. Who is the emerald and wax woman?
Right. The emerald and wax woman, first of all, is a woman who loves color, who's bold in their choices of color, who loves patterns, who wants to start a conversation piece, who wants to invoke emotions. The emerald and wax woman is somebody who wants something unique, not something that's overproduced. Because I don't overproduce. Sometimes I will make I make 4 pieces, and that's it. Yeah, because I try to keep it very special,
right.
Because I don't really want people to meet, and sometimes, and I don't do this very often, but I have in cases, somebody will buy a piece, say in Cork, and another person will buy it in Cork in the same place, and I can't do it, so
right.
I'll offer them something else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So would you say you've also done more like custom pieces as well? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I do tailor, I do tailor to sizes, or, if I can, but, as most people know, my pieces are very simple. So if it's not complicated, I definitely am happy to accommodate, because I really, and the emerald and wax woman is a joyful woman, because I like to give joy, and I think the colors and the patterns give joy.
I want to go back to where you talked about your pieces also being sustainable in terms of like there's not really like a seasonality like it would be with most designers. Obviously working in an environment where that is kind of a big deal, sustainability with fashion. How does that impact your work? And I guess the future of it as well. Yeah.
At the moment, I suppose it is a big issue. Waste is a very, very big issue. But let me just go back a bit. So for me, sustainability starts from being able to keep the people who buy the fabrics from in business, so they can they can sustain themselves. Yeah. So that's really where it starts for me. And I try to buy from small sellers. Okay. I don't buy in like you wouldn't catch me in a manufacturing warehouse buying like thousands of things. And I also buy things that people don't notice, but sometimes there are some pieces that are produced only in small batches. That's what draws me in, because I want to do my bit by not buying too much to overpopulate what's already like a problematic, like fashion produces, like we wouldn't even talk about that. So it starts from keeping the people that are selling business, trying to buy small amounts, buying bold ends, I also try to reduce my carbon footprint. I'm trying to do that a lot at the moment. I'm not really going to Ghana so much now to buy, because it is a very long, it is a long way.
Yeah.
It is a long journey. So I'm trying to support more of the fabrics that are here for me to, I will obviously, my passion is to go into Ghana to support the women, but at the moment, because of, all the craziness with what's going on in the world and sustainability and carbon footprints and everything, I'm trying to minimize that. So, I will go to the closest place that I can get it. So, I'm trying to do my bit.
Do what you can. It's great. And it's good to hear, because I think that also speaks to like the heart of the brand and who you are.
Yeah.
And that probably resonates well with people too, who have those same visions and aspirations for the future in mind.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, hope for a better world.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see fashion playing their part. Would you like to do any like collaborations with any other designers or brands? Or have you done any?
No, I haven't done any. I would love to. I mean, there are so many people in the industry here in Ireland that, I would love to work with. There are so many. I don't know if I can say the names without the permission, but I had this idea of doing collaborating with knitwear, design. I feel like there's something there with knitwear and the prints, whether it's putting it together, matching it together, or weave. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Weaving like end bits.
Yeah.
Again, I hoard all my offcuts.
Okay.
I hoard all of them.
Yeah.
But I would love to collaborate with designers here.
If you could leave one piece of advice for our viewers here, not necessarily like maybe an experience with the expat, but just your transition, moving here to Ireland, creating a business. If there's anything you'd like to share, give some final thoughts.
Moving to anywhere from what you know is difficult. It is going to be difficult. If your heart is in it, you feel it's the right thing, it's the right place for you, and you can persevere, write it out and see what happens. You don't just get up and move for just to do that. There's usually something in it. And if it's not a huge inconvenience or distress for you to wait and find out, what is in the new place for you, I would say try and find it.
Try and find it. What about those fears of sometimes thinking, should I go back home?
Oh, you have plenty of that.
Okay.
I still have that. I still have
really?
that. Yeah, I still have that.
Okay.
Because, sometimes there are and it's more for the conveniences.
Yeah.
I can just get up and go to Chinatown or go to Korean town, and for me it's about food and culture, and I still have that. But then I'm like, well, yeah, but it's not as peaceful as Galway. Like, I've gone to New York and I've had to cut my trip short.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, oh God, I can't.
It's probably not the same, right?
No,
too, yeah.
No,
and it's true. It's kind of like you've changed and New York has changed as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the New York that I have kind of photographed in my, the way I left it is not the way it is. And friends have moved on. Places have changed. And
what do you do to get over that kind of like homesickness, actually?
Oof. Oh, I don't know. For me, it was tough because, I was pregnant when I moved here, and then I was pregnant not too long after I had my third. Try and find a community. Try and find your community. And I am just now, believe it or not, trying to find that there are American expats.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even have to be people from America, but try and find your community. Or build a community. It's very, very difficult to do, I'm not going to lie. But, start small, create an interest or find where you can find like-minded people who share, your passion.
The community is a big one.
Yeah, try to find a community.
Yeah.
And once, I know that sometimes it's hard because when I first moved, I felt like everybody was kind of sussing me out and say, what is she? Is she going to stay? Am I? If I invest in this, will it pay off? And, don't give up. Again, that's the resilience.
There in that as well. You find Ireland to be very welcoming to you when you came, or how would you explain that?
Yes and no. When I first came, I think, this was nearly 15 years ago.
Yep.
15. Ireland was very different from what it is now.
Okay.
Actually,
for better or for worse?
no, I think it's a bit it's better.
Better,
people,
okay.
Yeah, for one, it's getting a bit more diverse, which is good. People are more open-minded and seeing more of people like me.
Yeah.
So it was very tough. I also came pregnant, and I had a small baby. I had 2 other kids that I needed to take care of. My husband was working, so like I was in home a lot. So my focus was just about the boys, and also trying to get over my homesickness, and trying to get used to the new place, new foods, the weather, everything. So it was a huge struggle for me mentally. It was mentally was big, but I also was very alone because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody when we moved, except for my husband's brother and his wife. Yeah, so I found it really, really tough. It took me about 3 years to finally kind of say, okay, well, I'm here now, and when the boys were old enough and I felt like comfortable enough going into community. But you will go into places as well, and people don't know who you are. People wouldn't be interested in who you are because they don't know you. They don't know if they invest, you're going to leave, and all that. So it was difficult. But then there's a small percentage that they see you, they're like, welcome, where are you from, what do you do, who are these, and but yeah, it's a mixture. But I would say, to be honest, it wasn't very easy, especially the mental aspect.
Yeah. But now you can say you've pretty much created a home.
Yeah, I mean, now, like I know so many people just here in Barna, it's just, and people come in and we chat, and like I see somebody and I say, this is a tea kind of person. So I get the chair and I bring it and we sit and we chat. And the great thing is about, being here and having your shop is it's mostly women that I chat to. We talk about children, we talk about relationships, we talk about, like female stuff like, menopause and all that stuff. We talk about our children. We talk about, we try to stay away from politics, but we do talk about, a bit of world affairs and, how Ireland is versus, other places and stuff like that. So I feel like I have built a community, and I've been welcomed into the community. So that part is good. I finally feel like, so that's what I mean by the resilience. It's just persevere, and if you feel in your heart there is something, try and stay and see, what it is. It might take 20 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 6 months, but,
Are there any upcoming things that we can expect for Emerald and Wax? Or we should be on the lookout for?
2 things, actually. So, taking part in the Arc Cancer fashion support that's at the RDS on March 27. It's great to to be able to support that.
Yeah,
I think if people are in a position to support and even come to the show and stuff like that, I think it's great. It's quite a lot of Irish designers that I will be there, myself included. And then I am gonna have a workshop using my offcuts, doing blocks, wall art, and that's sponsored by the Galway City Council. And there are a few other things coming up. I'm hoping to add add some new pieces to my existing collection. Refresh. Yeah. Refresh. And then there are a few things in the pipeline that hopefully will
keeping you busy.
Yeah.
Virtue, thank you so much for your time today. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate all the advice and feedback you've given.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you for
we look forward to having you and seeing more of you and the Emerald and Wax brand.
Hey.
Thank you.